Number 5, Miami, beating Duke 53-31. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the Hurricanes. Xavier Restrepo, like clockwork, has been one of the highest graded players for the Hurricanes, 82.7 grade. Cornerback OJ Frederick Jr., 77.7. Running back Damian Martinez, 76.9. Akeem Mesidor, 76.5, the D tackle. Mark Fletcher Jr., the other running back, 74.4. And Cam Ward, your new Heisman Trophy favorite according to the betting odds, 79.9 grade in the victory. Let's go over to Duke with their highest graded players in this one. Wide receiver Samir Hagans at 87.2. Cornerback Chandler Rivers had a 76.6 grade. Defensive tackle Aaron Hall, 74.4. Running back Peyton Jones at a 73.5. Vincent Anthony Jr., the edge defender, 70.3. And then Malik Murphy with a 57 grade in the loss for Duke, as you can see right there. So it wasn't a great performance for Malik Murphy right there, but Duke was in this game a little bit, Dalton. They had, 11-point lead in the third quarter?
They were up 28-17 in the third quarter.
Yeah, and then Miami stormed back, obviously. But what's that the total story for you?
As they do, as Miami does all of the time, because that's just how that works. But, no, I want to tell you something. We were curious prior to this game. Okay, Manny Diaz, he backed off of Kevin Jennings against SMU and gave him problems, right? Because Manny Diaz is usually a high blitzer, right? And we're going, okay, he's going to turn on the gas. He's going to turn the heat back up, and he's going to blitz Cam Ward, and that's how the zone blitzes and stuff have to give him problems. He actually blitzed Ward less than he blitzed Jennings last week. Duke only blitzed 22.7% of the time. Ward was only pressured on 25% of his dropbacks. When he was under pressure, he struggled to a 31.4 passing grade. But Cam Ward, you can't just leave him back there with all this time like this. In Miami, to their credit, they had their highest pass blocking grade against a Power 5 opponent this season. But I was just surprised to see that Manny Diaz decided, okay, we're gonna sit back like we did last week. And I was like, you can't right now. I think it's a very hard sell unless you got absolute freaks up front. If you got a South Carolina, Ohio State type of defensive line, to send only 4 at Cam Ward, because he's just going to sit back there calm and cool and hanging out. I mean, again, a 91.4 passing grade in a clean pocket, and he had a ton of clean pockets. And this is a really good Duke secondary. They can cover. But if you're not getting to Cam Ward, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you what. I'll say a thing right now. Is there a better? Well, maybe there's one. How many better wide receiver quarterback combinations are there than Ward and Restrepo? Maybe one.
Is it Shedeur and Travis?
That's probably the only one. Now that I thought about it out loud, I was
always,
like,
every time you say something like Cam Ward's like, oh, Shedeur's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's Shedeur and Travis, right? But no, I mean either way, those are the two right now, and fittingly, that's all the Heisman talk is centered around those two pairings, really. But I mean, I just was surprised to see Manny Diaz sit back the same way that he did last week, actually to an even greater extent, as opposed to coming after Cam with all the stuff that it usually comes after quarterbacks with.
Absolutely, yeah. And going into that, Cam Ward in the second half averaged 15.4 yards per pass, dude. What the hell? That is insane. 15 yards per pass in the second half. He averaged 6 yards per pass in the first half, 5.8 to exactly, with a 63.2 passing grade. 88 passing grade in the second half, 13 for 17, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception in the second half, 3 big-time throws, 2 turnover-worthy plays, 88.2% adjusted completion rate as well. It looked like in the third quarter, Duke had a chance to upset Miami. And Dalton, since we were on the field for the Penn State game and Ohio State game, we couldn't really see what was going on. So after the game was over, we were like walking through trying to find our car, and like we're like trying to find people like, did Duke win? Like, what happened? And then finally we got to our car and realized that Miami ended up killing them.
Well, and then it was like, if once we couldn't see it anymore because there's no service up there at Penn State.
Yeah,
like, wait, Miami went and outscored them 36-3 after the last. Okay,
like
I guess
we lost service because we were in the press box and we went down. We lost service knowing Duke was up by 11. And then we got to the car and saw Miami won by 22. And we're like, what happened in the second half? And Cam Ward happened.
As he happens in the second half of basically every game now. This is just what it is. It's just tune in for Cam Ward in the second half because, I mean, it's just silly what he's doing at the end of these games.
He scoffs at double-digit leads for the opposing team.
Oh, yeah.
He scoffs at it. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. So he's done it time and time again now, man. He's so calm and collected. His poise. I think that is, in his scouting report when we talk about for the draft, his number one strength is his poise. His poise is unbelievable, man. He's got the best poise in the country, I would say, probably. I think he's the best quarterback in America right now. I know you probably argue with Metrodor, but if the Heisman's going to go to a quarterback, which I still don't think it should, but Cam Ward definitely.
I agree with that. I'd probably still lean Shedeur as far as the draft goes, but Ward's tightening the gap. I mean, those are clearly the two guys that we're going to be talking about come that time.
He is just, he's so freaking good, man. And that's insane. And like I said, like, I wasn't really impressed by Manny Diaz's strategy in this one because we said, hey, speed him up and send blitzes at him, and you have the secondary that can hold up when you send a blitz, and he just didn't do it. And that's not the way you play against Cam Ward. You want to speed him up, and they didn't do it in this one.
Or maybe they don't because you've got a guy in the slot who's a freak of nature. I honestly think you talk about the draft stuff. He's got to be in the top 50 or 60 picks. Is Xavier Restrepo. Eight catches, 146 more yards, 3 touchdowns, broke Miami's career receiving record previously held by Santana Moss. I mean, just does everything. It's screens. It's hot routes. It's improvising. Like that touchdown in the first half was just, as much as Cam gets credit for the throw, obviously, Restrepo taking 10 seconds to improvise and just find somewhere to get to in the end zone to get himself open. Again, I say it all the time. I think he's got the highest football IQ of any receiver in the country.
I would agree.
Really, just amazing. This is a guy, the combine is not going to do justice to how good a football player he is. He's probably going to go and run like a 4.5, and it's not going to be like some elite freak, but this is just a great football player. Restrepo, I mean, he proved it last year, right? Now this year, it's ridiculous. He's one of the 5 best receivers in the country this season. He's probably the best pure slot receiver in the country. He just needs to keep getting the credit every single week because he's just incredible. For as many weapons as Miami has, Xavier Restrepo is the guy in the slot, and the chemistry these two have, with it being only their first year playing together, it's ridiculous. It's the biggest reason Ward and Restrepo that these two guys, that they're going to probably make and possibly win the ACC title game. I mean, it's just ridiculous what the two of them are doing.
He's going to be severely underdrafted, I can tell you right now. Someone's going to get a steal on whatever, day 2 or wherever he goes, honestly, because I agree, maybe the combine numbers will be outrageous, but he is just an outrageously good football player, and he showed it again in this game. He's been one of the most reliable parts by them all year. I'll go to the other receiver on the other side. Samir Hagans, I talked about, is the highest grade player for Duke. I mean, he was one of the biggest reasons why Duke stayed in this game for so long. He caught 9 of his 12 targets for $139 and a touchdown, 4.96 yards per route run. He was targeted on nearly 43% of his routes, and really the most impressive part too, this is not the guy you're worried about with Duke's passing game. Like, he's the number 3 receiver mostly for Duke this year, but he was the one giving Miami the most problems in this one. So for the guy that usually is the tertiary option for the Blue Devils, Samir Hagans was the top guy for Duke in this one, and did a really good job against Miami's defense.
Yeah, no, sure did. But, I mean, it was, even with as good a day as that, it's hard to overcome what Miami's got going on right now. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun down the stretch here. I think Miami and SMU are, obviously, they're going to be the focus of the ACC the rest of the way.